that last video, we looked at setting up an empty HTML project and then adding an HTML shell to it. In this one, we're going to talk about what we're actually going to make. So, in a game of playing cards, you have a deck of 52 cards, and then the dealer wants to shuffle it and then take out the top 5 and then hand it to the player. What this looks like in terms of HTML is a few elements, 5 in this case, numbered 1 through 10, and then there could also be a jack, a king, a queen, and an ace. So we're going to pretty much write an HTML file and associate JavaScript and CSS files to sort of simulate this dealing of a hand. So I'm going to start by changing this h1 tag to dealing a hand of cards. That way we remember what we're dealing with. Refreshing the page, it shows the following. Now let's see what we can do with basic HTML tags. So I can just put these inside static divs for now. So I'm just going to write 5 divs, and inside of each of them I'm going to put the numbers 1 through 5. Well, that's not so bad, but at this point we don't have very much in terms of style. Let's just make some dirty style tags right here. Dirty as in, you wouldn't really want to define this in line with your HTML. We'd put them into a separate file generally, but for right now this should work. So what does a playing table look like? Well, let's make the body tag, let's call that green for now, because usually when you're gambling you're playing on a green table. So refreshing the page, oh look at that, we have a green table. Not bad, but let's change the text color to white. So you'll notice I'm using color for text color here, and for background color that's just green. That affects the entire background of this body tag that expands from here to here. In that case, it's our entire HTML page you see, this whole screen. Alright, so we have white text on a green background. It almost feels like a legit poker table. Alright, but now what do we do with these divs? We have 5 of them, and we want to turn these into cards. So in our style tag, I'm going to say div, and then I'm going to say background color. Then I'm actually going to make that white. So this doesn't make very much sense with respect to what we have going on so far, because we have white text and a white background. We can't really see it. So I'm going to make the text of the cards hashtag 000. Now they're black. But these aren't the right shape. See, each of these divs is basically a long rectangle stacked on top of one another. If I add margin for a moment, you'll be able to see what that looks like. Oh, sorry, margin bottom. See, these are just long rectangles. When you make a div, it extends the horizontal distance of the page and then stacks top to bottom. So what can we do about this? Well, first of all, I don't want to style every single div on the page because we might have other divs for other elements, like, for example, the symbols within each of the cards, whether it's a spade, a club, a heart, or a diamond. Those might be divs also. So I don't want to pollute the entire style sheet by giving all these styles to these divs. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to define a class that's called card, and then watch as the styles disappear. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that class to each of these divs, and we can do that by defining these attributes in line. So now we have our styles again, but let's turn these into more of a card shape. Let's give them a width of 50 pixels and then a height of 100 pixels. Alright, these actually do kind of look like cards right now, more so than I expected. That's not so bad. Let's give it a border radius of 4 pixels. Wow, these are turning into cards, look at that. give it some padding of 4 pixels. Let's increase that width to maybe 70. Great. Now we have 5 cards top to bottom. Let's take a quick break right here and then see what we can do in the next video.